On March 31st, 1922, a small Bavarian farmstead 43 miles from Munich would serve as a scene for one of the most horrific and gruesome unsolved crimes in German history. The 6 victims consisted of the Gruber family, Andreas and Cocilia, their daughter Victoria, and her 2 children, plus the farm's maid Maria Baumgartner. They were found decapitated, with the killer having lived for 3 days in the house with the corpses. Nearly 100 years have passed, and the case remains open. Built around 1863, the farm had its fair share of problems before the murders. One of the main stories surrounding the property was that the previous maid before Maria had quit 6 months prior, claiming the house was haunted, and that she heard strange noises coming from the attic. This has been argued over the years, as the maid's statement to the police makes no mention of it. However, what has not been challenged is the fact that in 1915, Andreas had an incestuous relationship with his daughter Victoria and served a year in prison for it, leaving plenty of room for speculative theories about the murders being a crime of passion. In the same month of the murders, Andreas Gruber found a strange newspaper from Munich on the property. He did not remember buying it and assumed the mailman had lost the newspaper. However, after the case, it was discovered that no one in the vicinity subscribed to that paper. Just days before the murder, Andreas told neighbors he discovered footprints in the fresh snow led from the forest to a broken door lock in the farm's machine room. Later during the same night, the family heard footsteps coming from the attic, but he found no one when he searched the building. Although the worried father sensed something strange and told several people about his observations, he refused to accept help, and these details went unreported to the police. On the afternoon of Friday, March 31st, the new maid Maria Baumgartner arrived at the farm. Maria's sister had escorted her there and left the farm after a short stay. She was likely the last person to see the victims alive. Investigations suggest that in the late evening, Victoria, her 7-year-old daughter, and her parents were lured to the family barn one by one, where they were then murdered, one at a time. The perpetrator used a mattock, a farm tool similar to a pickaxe, that belonged to the farm, and killed the family with several blows to the head. Then, the murderer moved into the living quarters and killed 2-year-old baby Joseph, sleeping in his crib, and then made Maria sleeping in her bedchamber with the same weapon. 4 days passed between the murders and the discovery of the bodies. On April 1st, coffee sellers Hans and Eduard Scherwowski arrived in the Hinterkaifeck to place an order. When no one responded to the knocks on the door and the window, they walked around the yard but found no one. They only noticed that the gate to the machine house was open before they decided to leave. Cocilia was nowhere to be seen at school, and the family had also failed to show up for Sunday worship at the local church. Assembler Albert Hofner went to Hinterkaifeck on April 4th to repair the engine of the food chopper. He heard nothing from the family, only sounds of the farm animals and the dog inside the barn. After waiting for an hour, he decided to start working, which was done approximately 4.5 hours. Around 3:30 in the afternoon, Lorenz Schlittenbauer sent his son Johann and stepson Josef to Hinterkaifeck to try and make contact with the family. It is believed that Lorenz was in a relationship with Victoria, and potentially being the father of her youngest child, baby Josef. Entering the barn, the group found the bodies of Andreas and his wife Cocilia, along with their daughter and granddaughter, all decapitated. Shortly after, the bodies of the family maid and baby Josef were found inside the house. The Munich Police Department started the investigation led by Inspector George Reingruber. However, it was proven to be a difficult one since many people had already interacted with the crime scene, moved the bodies and items around, and even cooked and ate meals in the kitchen. The day after the discovery of the bodies, court physician Johann Baptist Müller performed the autopsies and established that a mattock was the most likely murder weapon, though the weapon itself was not found at the crime scene. Forensic evidence showed that 7-year-old Kazilia Gabriel had been alive for hours after the assault. She had torn her own hair out in tufts while lying next to her dead family in the straw. It was clear that the perpetrator lived among their corpses because the cattle were fed. The entire supply of bread from the kitchen was eaten, meat had been recently cut from the pantry, and the murderer even milked the cows. The police suspected the motive to be robbery at first, but quickly abandoned the theory when they realized a large amount of money was still left in the house. As the investigations went on, much was discovered about the family's past, but it always led the police to unsatisfactory conclusions. Over the years, many suspects were considered, but the two main suspects were Carl Gabriel, Victoria's husband, and Lawrence Schlittenbauer, Victoria's lover. The husband of Victoria Gabriel, Carl Gabriel, had reportedly been killed in France by a shell attack in December 1914 during the First World War. However, his body had never been recovered. Victoria had given birth to Joseph illegitimately, which was rumored to be the product of Victoria's and Andrea's incestuous relationship, something that was documented in the local court and known in the village. People then began to speculate if he truly died in the war, or if he came back to find his wife with a bastard son, and in a fit of rage murdered the family. This theory proved to not be true, as servicemen who fought alongside Carl vouched to have seen his dead body. The second suspect, Lawrence Schlittenbauer, was believed by some to be the father of Joseph, as the initials LS appear on Joseph's birth certificate. However, these could be initials of an attending doctor. The main reason for him to be considered a suspect was that early on in the investigation, locals believed he was acting suspicious. Upon arriving at the farmstead, Schlittenbauer's group had to break in the locks to enter the property. However, immediately after finding the initial 4 bodies, he proceeded to unlock the house's main door with a key and entered the house alone. Days before the murders, a house key had gone missing, although it is possible that Victoria had given him one due to their rumored romantic relationship. When asked by his companions why he had gone in the house with a potential murderer on site, he claimed that he wanted to see his son Joseph. On top of that, it is also known that he moved the bodies around, potentially compromising the investigation. For many years after, local suspicion remained on Schlittenbauer because of his strange comments, which were indicating knowledge of details that only the killer would know. Locals also started speculating that Schlittenbauer murdered the family after Victoria demanded financial support for baby Joseph. Before his death in 1941, Schlittenbauer won several civil claims for slander against persons who described him as the murderer of Hinterkaifeck. Nearly 100 years have passed since the murders, with over 100 interviews being conducted to find the killer. No conclusive information has been shared by the Munich Police Department. Without a doubt, at this point in time, the killer has been dead for decades. In 2007, a German police academy used modern forensic technology and managed to eliminate all suspects except one. However, they declined to release the information to the public since the suspect is already dead and wants to protect the privacy of his family. Leave a comment and subscribe if you wish.